So you just finished a project and you're ready to send the files over to your client for review. What do? Do you send them a JPEG file and say, what do you think? Well, the answer is no. Hi, I'm Emily Wilson. I am a graphic designer who is passionate about branding and layout design and creating beautiful, effective design solutions. That first option of just sending over a JPEG file is what I used to do when I was first starting out as a freelance designer. I would send my client over a JPEG and basically just say, what do you think about this? And that would result in countless revisions. Now, my process is to create a branding presentation for the client that goes into detail about each element within the brand identity created, and it provides a look into the decision-making process and the reasoning behind each of the proposed elements within the logo and the brand identity. Why did I choose these colors? Why did I choose this typeface? And this has resulted in clients signing off on the first revision almost every time. So if you want to stick around and get a glimpse into what that process looks like, let's go. So I'm going to first start out by showing you what it might look like if I were to just continue sending these files over to my client in just a JPEG version. So what you're seeing right here, these are several different concepts that I had come up with for the brand identity before finally deciding on the final one, which is that stacked there or the horizontal version. Now here are several illustrations that I created for the brand. I found some makeup products and I just illustrated them, and I did know that I wanted to put this into a pattern, which is what I did here. Now you'll notice there are some powder textures within this brand, and that is to represent taking your makeup palette, dipping your brush into that makeup palette, dabbing it out, and how the powder falls out. That's a lot. If I just send this JPEG file over, I couldn't describe that. So that's why we're going to make a branding presentation. So I have already created my grid structure, my grid outline on my A Parent master page within InDesign. This is just my cover page, and what I do on the cover page is just explain what this is. So this is the branding presentation, and then the client that it's created for, which is our MacK Beauty in this instance. Now the brief. So the brief is where I describe who the client is, what we're creating this for, and why. So in this instance, our MacK Beauty is an up-and-coming individually owned business founded in Mexico, Missouri. The owner, Amber Moss, masters in the art of makeup, offering general makeup services to her rural community. The company was founded from Amber's passion for enhancing a person's confidence through facial aesthetics. Our MacK Beauty is named after Amber's daughter, Reagan McKenzie, who at the age of 2 already shows a love for makeup, just like her mom. So you can see that there were certain aspects of the brief that really talk about what we're going to do within the branding. This slide here just shows the deliverables and what we want to show with this branding. Now we're going to go into the logo. So this is where we're going to describe what the logo is and what all of the individual elements represent. So here I actually have these dotted lines that I created that point to each element, and then I go into detail about what they represent. So that eye, it's just easily recognizable. It represents false lashes, a perfect eyebrow, immediate representation of what the brand does. The typography of the R MacK is fun, kid-like, to enhance the inclusion of the daughter within the naming of the brand. The beauty portion of the word mark, it represents the texture and appearance of mascara, and I manipulated it to not be even so that it represents how eyelashes are never evenly distributed. I can go into all of that detail here because I'm putting together this branding presentation, so my client can now see that. They can see the logo variations. So I'm showing all the horizontal lockups and all of the colors, color, black, and then white, and then also the stack lockups as well as the icon and logo mark of just the R MacK with the main eyebrow and eyelashes. So just showing all of that like that is just such a better way than doing it just by sending them a JPEG file and asking, do you like this? And again, we can go into further detail on the colors now. So the colors needed to truly represent the brand. What does this brand do? So the colors of our MacK Beauty were inspired by common eyeshadow palettes and increased in contrast to provide further visibility and enhance the premium touch of the brand. Accessibility checkers are very important when you're establishing a brand identity. The pink tones were chosen to represent the feminine and young side of the brand, again incorporating the daughter in the branding identity. Something I did decide to do was to make the name of the company bold every time that I said it. So our MacK Beauty, bold. Every time that you see it within this presentation, it's just a fun added touch. All right, so I did just duplicate my previous spreads. So now I'm going in and I'm going to pull my colors out of the logo. I'm holding Alt to copy that. I'm pressing I to get my eyedropper. We're dropping both of the pinks. Now I'm gonna grab one of those illustrations also that I created of the makeup, because I also want to have some of that cream color in here as well. And I'm just going to use that as a complementary color that can be used really on any instance, and it just is going to represent the creaminess of like makeup products. But what I do is I go to Google and I just find what is the definition of pink. So I know just from my common knowledge that pink typically represents love. What's the actual definition? Universal love of oneself. That's perfect, because as a makeup brand, you want to have increased confidence in your clients because you're doing their makeup. You want them to feel love for themselves. So that's what we're going to describe here. We're going to describe pink represents the love a person has for themselves and for others. Pink is the primary color of the brand, as the brand value is to enhance a person's confidence and self-love through facial aesthetics. We got that by creating the brief at the very beginning of the presentation. And again, I just added in those dotted lines so they're pointing to the pinks and then going up to the text to describe it. Now I'm just copying that text over by holding Alt. And I'm just going to align it to my grid. It's great to design by the grid. And we're just going to type in here what the cream colors represent. So the cream colors, as I mentioned earlier, they're just going to represent that creaminess color that you see in foundations, concealers, and just other makeup products that have a cream texture to them. Once we have this aligned, I'm just going to copy over those dotted lines again, and I'm going to point them down to the cream color text just to tie it all in together. Now we have a slide describing the colors. Let's go ahead and duplicate this spread. And we're going to change our type. So we're no longer going to talk about the colors. We're now going to talk about the pattern created. So remember I mentioned all of that about taking your makeup palette and dipping your brush in there and then having the powder falling out of it. We're going to be able to actually describe that now and that thought process behind the inclusion of that texture within the pattern. It makes it less likely for the client to then say, I don't want that in there. They still might, and that's fine. But now we have justification behind it. There's a reason behind why we did it. It wasn't just added in for no reason. So I'm going to paste this pattern in here so we can see it in action. And I am just moving it around, trying to find, I'm not sure if I want to go full bleed. I like full bleed, but it cuts off too much of the pattern. So I think I'm actually just going to place this in a square within the grid. So let's go ahead and shift control to size it down and just get it placed really nicely in here. That looks a lot better. Now you can see more of the pattern, every element of it, and how it really lies together within that seamless pattern. Now is where we can talk about what the pattern is, what it includes, such as the official brand colors, talk about that powder texture again, and how it was created from custom illustrations as well. And again, just using that line. Mock-ups. Mock-ups are so important in any presentation that you give. So this is going to allow the client to see the design in action. So I'm going into Illustrator right now. I found this mock-up already, and I'm creating a new artboard that is roughly the same size of the mock-up, and I'm placing the pattern on here because we're talking about the pattern right now, so we definitely want it included. I do know that we need to have white space though, so that we can read some of that required text that's going to be required to put onto a makeup product packaging. And so I went ahead and I moved the pattern up. And I'm just gonna paste in the logo. I noticed there's a stroke on my pattern for some reason, so I'm getting rid of that because we don't want a stroke on there. We want it to be seamless. And now just looking for some of that required information. So let's put in here premium, and we're gonna change this to the brand font, Delve Hand. I'm just trying to decide if I want regular or bold. I like regular. It's not as aggressive feeling, and especially since we have this in all caps right now, but let's see what it looks like in lowercase. I don't like it in lowercase. It doesn't feel premium enough. Now I noticed that the E of this typeface does not have a line to it. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna grab my pencil tool, and I am just drawing a line to make this into an E. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. So let's go ahead and add the next type, which is going to be our weights. Zoom in so I can see it. And what I did here was I looked at a real life example of a makeup product bottle that had that information on it so I could see what information was required. So here's the name of the makeup, hydrating primer, adding the pattern in on the side of the bottle. Do I want to put it on both sides? Let's see. I'm not a fan of it on both sides. It feels like it's boxing in the logo too much, and I don't really want it to be boxed in like that. So I'm going to get rid of it. And instead I'm going to left align this. That's looking good. I like that a lot. So again, let's go in and let's Control-Shift-O to outline our text, and then we will grab our pencil tool again, and we're going to just create that line, that same line for the E. And now we're going to go over to Photoshop, and we're going to place this design into our Photoshop layer. So we're going to go File, Place. I always do Place Linked in case I need to edit anything, and it'll automatically update within Photoshop. Let's resize it so that it fits perfectly into our mock-up. I'm going to add a white background to it, Control S to save, and let's go over to our mockup. And there you have it. You can see it placed in real life. This is so helpful for the clients to really see the brand elements in action and how they work. So now we're going back over to our branding presentation. We're going to actually place this into the presentation. So Control D is your shortcut, and aligning it to the grid. And there you have it. There is the mock-up for the pattern in use. Another mock-up. I love mock-ups. They're so important. So I want to go ahead and add in a feather to this as well. So I want it to be a really soft transition. So I'm just grabbing my brush tool, and I'm going to add a feather around the side of that rectangle. I'm just going to enter in here to find her on Facebook, because that is the primary way to reach her and to contact her. Adjust my sizing. Change this to the darker pink color so that it would stand out a bit more, and I am going to bold it as well so that it really just pops that that's what you need to search for on Facebook. So there's the business cards, there is the back in a mock-up version. Now I'm going to do the front of the business card, and I'm going to copy over that pattern again. Let's paste it in, and again adding a white background. This time we're going to use the horizontal version opposed to the stacked, so I paste that in there, and there are the business cards mocked up. I think what I want to do here is just create 2 to 3 mock-ups that I want to put in kind of like a slide as a final slide to the presentation. And now we have it on some additional packaging of a box packaging. So let's copy over, Control D, let's paste this in. So we need one more mock-up, and I've gone ahead and created that, and it's just another example of a makeup product that this pattern and the logo can be placed on. So I do want these to be touching. I don't really want there to be any kind of gutter between all of them. So I'm just going to resize this so that it fits really nicely in here and creates just a seamless transition between all of these beautiful mock-ups. And it just allows the client to really see their branding in the environment in action. And there we have it. So here is the branding presentation, the brief, the logo variations, the colors, the pattern, final mock-ups, and then give me your feedback. So once I'm done with this, I do go into the Notion client portal that I have set up to communicate with my clients back and forth, and it's super seamless and easy to have them just upload their feedback after I upload the project presentation, and I then will take their feedback that they give and make any requested changes and then go back. This project got the thumbs up by the client on the first go around. She absolutely loved it. I really do think that a large part of why she loved it was because of the branding presentation that I gave to her, so she could really see the why behind all the decisions within the branding. If you're a graphic designer, I highly recommend doing this for your clients. It has helped me so much to eliminate those countless revisions back and forth, and it has also helped my clients to be able to really explain themselves, their style, their story as a brand. So there you have it. There was a full branding presentation that I gave to a client. Thank you so much for coming along with me as I put that together. I hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe on my channel. I really do appreciate it. It does really help to support me on this journey. Thank you so much again, and I will see you over in the next video. Bye!